Hello, Captains of Ahmed. Welcome to the fifth episode of Decoding Football. And today, along with us, we have two very special guests to discuss and decode all the different nuances of football that we all love and to discuss and to learn. So, we're in for a very insightful and interesting session. So, thank you all for joining us. We're going to have a very, very good session today. So, today, I have with me Mr. Steve Herbots and Mr. Sachin Badadhe to discuss how they prepare the respective teams during the off season and how they set up their teams to do well during the season, and all of that happens during the preseason itself. So if you're a football fan like me and love to learn from the football personalities, make sure to check out all our videos and subscribe to our channel to help us grow. All right, so let's get into the introduction of our guest, and then we'll get into the questions that we are all so eagerly waiting to discuss. All right. So first, I'll introduce Mr. Herbots. So Mr. Steve Herbots is the head coach of United Sports Club, and they're currently unbeaten in the I-League second division with 8 points from their first 4 games. So Mr. Herbots, how are you feeling? How has the team been doing? And welcome aboard to the team today.
Good evening. My name is Steve. Head coach and head of football at United Sports Club. At the moment, we're doing good. I'm feeling good also. But an exciting next 2 games coming up, because we have 6 games in our group. As you said, at the moment undefeated, but still only on the second place. So that means that there is a team who is still doing better than us. And within 3 days we are playing against Shillong Lajong. So that will be big match for us to try to go to the first place. But all the rest, feeling good, doing good also, and happy to be here tonight with you guys. So also for me, it's a learning moment with a coach from Bangalore. So it's always learning moments from each other. We are colleagues, so let us make it a good episode.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Mr. Steve. I think it's great that we are all here today. We're going to talk about so many different things about the preseason, about how things are set up during preseason, and how teams are actually prepared to do well during the season, which your team is doing very well at the moment, and so are the team that Mr. Sachin Badadhe is currently coaching. So, Mr. Sachin Badadhe is the head coach of Bangalore-based club South United FC. So they have recently gone unbeaten to win the BTFA A division on 2022 and 23 season on goal difference, and after scoring a remarkable 14 goals in their last 2 games, which is pretty mind-boggling to say the least. And so it was a very exciting and pulsating end to the season. So Mr. Badadhe, how are you feeling with such an exciting end to the season, and what are your thoughts? How is the team feeling? And thank you so much again for being here. So
okay, so thank you. Good evening, Udipto, Steve, Arnab. Good evening, all. It was really a great season for all of us, and it was great. Yes, we as a coaches, we expect the challenges, and last 2 games it was really great, 2 challenging games for us, and we expected it in a positive way. The players, I was really confident on the players, and we went game by game. We knew what we wanted to do in the second game and what we wanted to do in the last game. And the last game, it was an amazing game for us. We wanted to score 6 goals, and in first half we actually had the game in our hand. We just scored 5 goals, and that second half, I know it was just for playing sake, and I was knowing that we were just going to score the goals. So it was really great end for the season, and we went undefeated. It was really great. So thanks to all my staff and the players who have really put in their hard work.
Fantastic. As you can see that we have 2 coaches who are coming off some remarkable successes with their clubs recently, and we would love to pick their brains on how they have set up their teams, because that is what we are here to do. We are gathered here today to discuss and hopefully learn throughout this session. So before we begin, of course, captains, whoever is watching our video, please do like and share our content, and do subscribe to our channel, because we cover all the aspects of football throughout the season, and we bring you live content and so much in-depth discussions on so many different aspects of the game we all love to play, watch, and decode, like we're going to do during this video. All right, so now let's dive straight into the questions we have been eagerly waiting to discuss. So firstly, I would start with Steve. So Steve, the first question that we have is that, how do you prepare your players, physically and mentally during the off season and set them up for the upcoming season? Because, usually the players go on a break after the season ends. It's always a challenge to again get their fitness up and running. So, how do you generally approach that? And what are your main, what is your main philosophy? And what are the main techniques that you apply to get them up and running?
Look, Indian football is quite a challenging product, let me say it that way, because as I said somewhere before already, I'm not just from India. I've come from abroad. I've worked in different countries. I've worked in different continents, and everywhere it's a different setup. And what I mean with that is, at the end, here in India, we have not had a real break. And what I mean with that is our club has worked a whole year through, which doesn't mean that our players have been training a whole year through with us. But as we were in West Bengal, we are one of the clubs who have developed a lot of the players. That means that our players, they played for Santosh Trophy, they played for national games, they won national games also. They trained with us for CFL. And then now we had a preparation going on for I-League Second Division. Now, if you talk in another country where we would do a off-season, we give a program with them. That can be a 3-week, 4-week program, depending on how long you are off-site. That can be if you're in a professional club or semi-professional club, different ones also again. But we give a program with our players. And what do we try to do at that point is sometimes touch with them in, okay, are you still following the program or are you not following? And in the meantime, we hear them. So the mental part of the program is, okay, how are you feeling? How is it going? And is it not too hard? Is it something more you need to do or what or how? But it's a fully out written program. Now, here in India, like I said, I have to do it differently. Because at the end, our players come and go from our club very often. From our last CFL, they immediately went into national games. From national games, they went to Santosh Trophy. In the meantime, they came back for 2-3 weeks with us, so we had to give them a little break because they just won national games. They have to go back to Santosh Trophy. After Santosh Trophy, they come back a little bit injured because the coaches are different. That's in a different setup because the players are not working a whole year. So at the end, it's much more challenging here to give a full off period than it is in other countries. Because there, like in Europe, the competition starts around August and normally finishes in the months of April, May, depending which competition you are. And everyone knows that. Then it's easier. May, it's finished. We give them 2-3 weeks completely off. Even when a player never is off, especially professionally, they always keep going. But we give them 2-3 weeks to refresh, to put everything back in their mind. And then we have a program after those 2-3 weeks that they start working direction pre-season, because it is before the pre-season with the club. Let me say it that way. It's in the off-season, really. That the day that they come back, that we can do tests first, that we can see where they are, what they've done, what they've not done. Here, it's more of okay, with this coach you've done that, with that coach you've done that. Here they come back to me. How are you feeling now? Are you ready? Are you not ready? So it's much more challenging here than it is in the other countries that I've worked. But as a coach, I think my colleague will I'm sure say the same. That's part of why you want to be a coach and why you need to always adapt and find new ways. And it would get boring if it's always the same. No, I think as a coach, you always want to have ways that you need to maybe struggle again to find the right answer. So we have a program. It's not that easy. My players in those 22 months, except there was a small period of COVID that we had when I came back here. All the rest, they've almost trained, or we've given them small breaks in between. So we really didn't have a real off-season because we think on a long-term development.
Thanks so much, Steve, for giving us such an in-depth look into how things are being set up at United Sports Club. And like you said, yes, I do know how it is in Kolkata because, I grew up watching all the games of East Bengal, Mohun Bagan, and United Sports Club as well as Mohammedan very intently, and how they were preparing for the seasons, because the Calcutta Football League used to be one of the premier competitions. It was before the ISL actually came into the picture, so we were all very very intrigued with that. And that does raise quite a few interesting areas that we can actually dive into. So I would like to come to Sachin on this. So Sachin, like we know that just like Kolkata, in a similar way, that Bangalore is very passionate about football and developing the players, and like the grassroots development of Bangalore is very well revered across the country, as well as I would say in Asia and beyond as well as of now, right? With the success that Bangalore, with clubs like Bengaluru FC they have had. So how do you feel that this the approach is similar to maybe what Steve mentioned, or like is there something different that you guys are planning to do, or how do you generally approach this, the off season and preseason training?
Okay, so as Steve mentioned that it is very difficult to coach the Indian players because of we are not having a system what the other European countries are having. There is no FIFA calendar what we are having. So it's very difficult to give the off season or pre-season to the players. The players are playing Cape, the players are playing black tournaments. There are challenges, colleges, player comes, don't come. Professionalism is there. We try to teach. Everything is a big challenge for the coach to understand all the players. It's really very difficult. But that's our role and responsibility, what I understand. And we have to go through it and try to manage and take down get the performance out of the players, and that's how we have to manage. And that's how in India we have to work with the lower clubs or the lower divisions, whatever. As we keep on moving up, it becomes more and more professional, where it's easy to work. But as Steve mentioned, yes, it's right that it's really very difficult to work. But as per me, like now my entire team is in the off-season break now for let's say 1 month. So before, like, I'm just sharing my experience, what I do usually with my players, because I am very much open guy and I like to share each and everything with the players, and whatever it is, everything is face to face. So before going for the off season, I basically call all the entire team. I review them about the entire season, how it went, what were our plans, did we achieve, did we not achieve, whatever was the success, how we celebrated, what we did right, wrong, everything we have to talk with the players. That's how we can get an confidence from the players. Then we have to elaborate. Then we have to tell the players how many players are going to stay for the next season, how many players are going to not stay for the season. So depending on that, we have to share them their performance analysis, why they stay, why they don't stay. That is the thing what I feel we have to do with the players. Before letting out the players going on the break, I would like to conduct their yo-yo test after the season. Yo-yo test plus their weight test and plus their fat test, which gives them the target when they're going on the off season. So they're having a target when they come into the pre-season break. They are maintaining themselves. That means they know that the coaches know that what was our ratio before going to the off-season break. That means, yeah, I understand they will go home, they will try to eat because that's our culture in India, what they will try to do. But somewhere they will be having a little bit break, yes, because that's back into their mind that we have to do and follow this. So conducting this yo-yo test and weight, I think so it's very, very important. And as they go on the off season, I think yes, 10-15 days as a coach, as a Indian born, I understand that 10-15 days we have to give them the break. They can celebrate their time with their families, friends, relatives. They can go here, there, whatever it is. But we should give them the exact time. After 16 or might be 15 days, they're back onto the track. As Steve mentioned, we give each and every player what they have to do throughout the entire day, how they have to follow their routine. It might be physical, it might be strength, conditioning, it might be endurance level, it might be nutrition, mental aspects. They might be doing yoga, meditations, motivational book readings. Many things are there where we can discuss with the players, or we can give to the players. In physical preparations, endurance, core strength, very, very important for them to follow each and every day, so that they are trying to stay in the shape itself. When they do all these things, it's helped the players in off season. When they're coming in for the pre-season, less risk of the injuries, and they're ready to move into the pre-season with some sort of targets what they have already been given. In the off season, it is important for each and every player. What I feel through my video analysis, I will be sharing them the videos of the entire season, what they have done, what they can do technically better for themselves in the off season where they can work. I expect them to play other sports, might be swimming, cricket, volleyball, which is a break for them where they can go and play different sort of sports. They can enjoy over their time. I would like to introduce one session in the entire week online with all the players and the staff so that the connection is still there and the bonding is still there between the players. And I think so this off season helps the players to recover themselves from the season what they have really worked. There might be injuries, whatever it is, and they recover throughout this off season and maintain themselves. This is what I feel.
Thanks a lot for that, very, well constructed answer. I think, just like, what we got from Steve, you have also given us a very good insight as to like how, preparing the players is very important for what you're planning to achieve in the next season. So
Yeah.
that would be actually my next question. So Sachin, I would like to ask you as a follow-up to this, like since you brought up that point. So you said that based on the fitness and based on certain parameters, you decide, which players are going to be retained, which players are going to be acquired throughout the off season and during the preseason as well. So how do you set your targets for the season? Because I'm sure, we all know that, before the season begins, obviously we have to set some targets, which some of them could be optimistic, some of them could be realistic. But based on that, based on what players you have, based on the conditions that you'll be working with, how do you set your targets and how do you modify your squad, your personnel based on what you want to achieve?
Okay, so like setting the target, it all depends on a lot of discussion. Like as you mentioned, it depends on the team or the individual players what you are having. That is what a coach needs to understand. It can be a self target what the coach has set for himself throughout the entire season. It can be a club's target what they are achieving, what they want to achieve throughout the entire season. It can be owners and the management expectations what they're expecting from the season itself. So I think and feel it's all about this four combination what you have to think about and where you're supposed to land and try to achieve all the things. So like if you say that team, depending on the quality of the individual team, you can set individual players and the team, you can set your targets. It can be tactical aspects, what you want to do with the players itself, how what type of quality of your players you are having. It can be that, yes, you are having a counter-based team and you are having a team which is sitting low block and defending and counter-attacking. So according to that, I hope you have to set your targets for your team training sessions itself. Self targets, it can be what do you expect from yourself. Like as a coach, when you see the team, you know that looking at the other teams, you know yourself that where you are going to be into the table of the season. So by setting the targets, but not letting the same targets to the players itself. They should not know it where they are. We should always keep on pushing them. Club targets, it depends on what are the management is expecting from us as a coach and from the players itself. Okay, what are their expectations? And when we are setting all these targets, it is important for us what is the budget coming from the player management, owners. Depending on that, we can set our own targets. We can get the resources of the players. That's what we can do. Again, planning for the preseason. Again, when the players are coming from the break, I think so. After 1 week, it is important for us to get them ready by doing their physical endurance test. It can be yo-yo test, whatever it is, yo-yo test or bib test. I think so. It is important for us as a coach to keep on helping the players to achieve their individual and the team goals itself. In preseason, I think so. It is important for us as a coach to set the rules, boundaries, expectations, what we are expecting from the players, so that the players know that what is the expectations. Because in India, it happens that okay, we are having that attitude. Okay, chalta hai. No, we should, as a coach, we should not have that attitude with us ourselves, and we should be more presentable and resourceful to the players. That's where they will respect us and they will look towards us to achieve our goals. I think so. It is very, very important to be open up with all the players. Try to instead of giving the instructions, try to understand each and every player, individual, team. What are their expectations? We have to be flexible with the changes what the players are also expecting. But it all depends on the discussion between the coaches and the players itself. I think so. The last thing, what it is important, scheduling the entire pre-season is very, very important. Where the players, they are into a system from the morning wake up time to the late night sleeping time, where we schedule themselves, so they know that from the morning, this is my wake up time, this is my breakfast time, this is my training time. So they are into a system throughout the entire season where we can maintain them. And I think so, if we can follow up entire all these activities in pre-season, we can achieve great things.
That's so great to know. I mean, how the preparation and how the targets have been set for the season. And I know Steve has been patiently waiting to ask a question. I believe, Steve, as well as I would also like to ask you the same question, because both the youth clubs that you two have been coaching have been doing remarkably well and are actually looking to get to the next level as soon as possible. So, Steve, yes, your question as well, and how would you like to?
Yeah, one of the questions that I have for my colleague coach, which is maybe important to know direction the preseason, is how does the season work in Bangalore compared to how does the season work in Kolkata? Because that makes a big difference in making your preseason. So maybe if my colleague can first say how it works in Bangalore, and then how I will explain how it goes in Kolkata, because I think it's a huge difference in what I did my homework and what I looked up a little bit. But maybe for the listeners, it's important to know, of course.
Yeah. So Steve, recently we were into the A division, and in Bengaluru, every division is played into the different months. Like say now we are into the Super Division. So Super Division starts in the month of August and it ends by December, like 4 month season it is. And with A division team, it starts from January and it's end by March. Say it's 3 months. And with C division, it starts from January and it ends by February, 2 month season. So according to that, each and every coach has to plan their pre-season. So now we are into the Super Division. So we are going to, I have just planned my pre-season, which will be starting from the May 15th itself. So like it will be 45 days pre-season. Then I will be trying to look for the more of the practice games, because it's going to be a rainy season. A lot of things, a lot of challenges are there. So depending on that, I have to prepare my new chart now. This is.
And how many matches do you have then in that season? How many matches do you have, and what is the schedule between the matches? Because that is important in a different preseason setup. So how many matches do you have? And for example, how many days is there in between the matches?
Again, it all depends on the association. For example, we played first 7 games of in first phase, we played 7 games. And those 7 games were played after 4 days. And when I went into second phase, after 1 game, it was 10 days break. After second game, it was 15 days break. So it was a big challenge for me in that second phase, where I was juggling a lot. And there were some sort of matches, some games, after 3 days, even I played a game, or after 2 days also I played a game. So it's a little bit challenging where we have to juggle up the things. That's how it works.
Okay, so let me explain in Kolkata a little bit, because I've done now 2 Kolkata Premier Leagues. First time there was a 7-match first round, and then there was because we were in the top of the group, we didn't have to play a quarterfinal. We were immediately in a semi-final against Mohammedan. So in total, we played 8 matches in the first season. That was it. And then we had a CFL, the CFL that we played now, where we played, I think it was 10 matches. Yeah, we played 10 matches with matches every 3 days. So our competition was finished on 6 weeks. And that was it. Nothing more, nothing less. 6 weeks, match every 3 days, 4 days max. And we just kept going one after the other. So that also means, when you were asking your question around preseason, how do you make that? For us, once we knew the calendar, which is also, it's very late, because we only know it around 10 days before the start of the competition. So you start a preseason, we start making a preseason like my colleague just did. He started writing down everything. What do you want to train? How do you want to train it? What physical parameters, which technical, which tactical you want to work on? But if you don't have a calendar and you don't know when you're going to play and you don't know when the competition is going to start and you don't know when the matches are going to be, it is for coaches very, very difficult to make a planning, because we had an 8-week preseason, like it is most of the times, depending what level you are. It is depending between 10 to 8 weeks. Maybe some clubs is 12 weeks. If you look at the top clubs, maybe you go to 12 weeks. So I wrote down an 8-week schedule with training sessions, sometimes one-time training, sometimes two-time training. Then you got gym, then you got pool, then you got everything what you need to work on. And then you come close to the start of the competition, what you heard, and then it gets postponed, and it gets postponed again, and it gets postponed. And at the end, I was almost training for 11 weeks. But that means that what you put on paper to get them ready by week 8, and fully match ready, fully match fit, you can throw it in the garbage can again, because your players are going in a decompression phase, because they can't keep training at the same level. It's logical. You've pushed them to a certain limit where they now think, okay, matches are going to start, and then it gets postponed. So at the end, yeah, you need to go and rewrite, but mentally for a player, it is very difficult to suddenly have an extra week training or 2 weeks extra training, because you've been telling them we're going to play that day, we're going to play that day. And then it gets postponed, and then you get the calendar in, and then you play every 3 days, which makes it very difficult to go and make a preseason. So indeed, my colleague says, we as coaches, we try to write down everything, we discuss everything with our staff, we look at, okay, where are our players going to be, what level are they on, then indeed they need to go to university, then they need to go to Santos Trophy, then they need to go to national games, then they need to go. So it is very difficult to, at the end, write down a preseason like you would do in Europe, where all your players are there, and where all your players individually and team physically, because it is a difference. You can work individually, but you also need to work in a team tactical and team physical part, because you want to play in a counter-attack, like my colleague said, or you want to play on a higher press, or you want to fall back, or you want to... All these possibilities, you need to be able to train individually in a team. But if your players are not always there because of certain things that they need to go and do, how do you exactly write it down? And I'm sure that my colleague has the same problem. You can write down a whole 8-week preseason, but your 8-week preseason is not going to happen like it is on paper. And that makes it at the end much more difficult here than it is where, I'll give the biggest example in Belgium right now. 2 months ago already, this is 2 months ago, the competition is still going on. We already know the starting date for next season. We don't know yet against who we play, but we know the starting date. It doesn't matter who you play first against, because you know well enough the clubs are different by the time the competition starts. It's new clubs you're playing against, and maybe your club also has changed a lot of players again. So you need to restart. It's a fully fresh start with all the clubs who are new and all the clubs who have new players. So it makes it much more challenging in really being able to write it down, be able to follow, and then to see that to get your players individually at the highest level before the start of the competition. And that indeed is state by state, I've noticed. Some states, for example, have a 6-month competition. I know, for example, Shillong Premier League, they have a 6-month competition. So our team that we're playing against now, in the next 3 days on Monday, Shillong Lajong, they just finished a 6-month competition, and we haven't had a competition for the last 3.5 months. So how do you put all these things into action, where in other countries, every division, every level is all starting at the same time, is finishing at the same time, except if you're Premier League or Bundesliga, you will do more than in the division. But it almost starts all at the same time. It almost all finishes at the same time. It makes it easier to prepare, and it makes it easier to get your players fully fit And here you need to look at a day-by-day basis, and you need to adjust with a day-by-day basis. And if tomorrow I get a possibility to come and work in Bangalore, I need to do it different than I would do in Kolkata. And that is not in Europe. That is not in Africa. In Africa, in most countries in Asia, I went to Vietnam, for an example. You know the competition a long time in advance. You know when it's going to start. You know when it finishes. It's at least 35 matches or 36 matches. Here, you don't know in advance how many matches you're going to play. You don't even know, is it going to be 1 round, 2 rounds, Super 6, no Super 6? That it doesn't work like this at the end. So making a preseason, that's pure for me here, has been much more challenging in the three competitions now, because I'll call it three competitions, 2 times CFL and 1 time I League Second Division. Makes it much more challenging than it is anywhere else in the countries that I've worked.
So now that we have covered the planning part of the season and of course the fitness part, and you've got all the players ready, and they're now here training for the upcoming season. So now becomes the most interesting part of it, which I find very interesting, is the tactical side of football, where we're actually going to, discuss the tactics and how the team is going to play, and explaining that philosophy, the way that you want to play to all the different players. So I would like to start with Sachin. So, so during like when the players are finally there and you're on the pitch and you're training them for the season, and you're trying to teach what kind of football you want to play, whether with certain kind of different kind of tactics, different kinds of formations, everything, all the whole lot. So obviously there are players from different academies, there are players from different backgrounds. So how do you manage that and try to explain it in one common way? And I think the language also becomes a problem in some cases. Not everybody understands the same language. So how do you communicate? How do you set them up? And how do you communicate what you're how you're planning to play?
So, as we mentioned, as we have talked about preseason, okay. So it depends on the coach that what he is expecting throughout the entire season. That is what we have worked in the preseason. So let's say, as I said earlier, that it is very important for all the players, get all the players and explain them what are your ideas and what way you want to play this game. What are expectations from the players? That should be very, very clear, where each and every player understands what are the roles and responsibilities to achieve the sort of style of play, what we are expecting. As I mentioned earlier, it can be a counter attack and it can be a low block, where yes, we are sitting down and we are focusing on counter attack. So that is what I think. So it's important for us as a coach to explain the players what we are expecting from them. It is very important just not explaining the players, but technically and tactically working on the sessions, on what source we are expecting from the players. That is very important. Otherwise, just by saying counter-attacking, it doesn't make any sense counter-attacking. It is very important for us as a coaches understand the Indian mentality players, that they need to, once we have done any of the session, they have to work like at least 2-3 times, then they understand how they have to play. So that is very, very important, tactically wise also and technically wise also. Understanding as a coach how the players responding to all the need to change, to charge as per the players. Okay. So this is what we also need to understand. Sometimes the players might understand, might not understand. So how we make them understand, that is also important, very, very important. We can show them by recording the sessions. It can be video sessions, it can be audio sessions. There can be video analysts who can be taking the sessions, who can be recording the sessions. After that, we can sit together, show the players what we are expecting from them, what is going right, what is going wrong, and what is expected from them to do the things. Setting standards again becomes very important to achieve all the things. That is what I focus a lot. And focusing on tactical knowledge is also very, very important, where if I feel that I am expecting the players to play 1-touch or 2-touch game, I should be doing a lot of sessions on it. That's what I think. It's very, very important for us as a coach to do that.
Thanks, Sachin, for that great answer. I mean, like you said, being able to explain the philosophy to all the players through repetition is probably the best way to trying to explain what exactly do you want.
I think repetition is very, very important with Indian players, because I've been working with different clubs, and I know that working with Indian players, if you try to do one session today itself, you don't get the success. But if you repeat the same session second day, you will get the success. Third day, if you repeat, Yes, it can be boring, but third day there will be a success for you. And for me, third day you will get the success.
Awesome. Yep. I think there are no shortcuts, like you said, Sachin. I think we have to do it over and over again until we achieve that sweet spot that we want to, for sure.
Yeah.
Right? Awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. So Steve, on this vein, like Sachin put that, for the Indian players, they have a certain way of basically adapting to what you're trying to teach them. And so I would like to just add one more question on top of this. So since you said that you have worked in different continents and in different countries, so do you change your philosophy, or do you change your style of play based on the conditions or based on the countries that you're going to? And especially, how is that different from the other places that you have been to? And what do you think works best for the players that you have coached, especially in United Sports Club?
Well, if I need to be honest there, and compare technical, tactical compared to Europe, compared to Africa, and compared to Asia. This is my second country in Asia, so I can also compare within Asia. For me, technical, tactical, and this is not to offend anyone in India, but technical, tactical Indian players are of the poorest level that I've worked with. And why is this? This is pure grassroots and youth development. Most clubs don't have proper grassroots or youth development. If they have grassroots or youth development, it's only focused on winning, and it's not on learning, it's not on developing, because it says itself, it is youth development, it is not youth winning, okay? It is youth development. Of course, there needs to be a winning. They need to learn what is winning and what is losing, but it is a development part. And when they come into a technical, tactical environment where we need to explain as coaches, which for me already in the first season, I was very, very happy that my assistant coach, who is Coach Anjan Nath, who has been 40 years at United Club, as I see, maybe the name, he coached in I-League, he coached the big names as Carlos Hernandez and Randy Martins. So he coached all these, he was assistant coach of Elko Shatterley, he was assistant coach of big names at the end in Indian football. And for me, he was my biggest help because he spoke the language. He spoke the language, the local language. He spoke what the players understood. He understood my English. It's not 100%. My assistant coach, who is above 60, of course, there are words that he needs to look a little bit after. But he helped me explaining a different kind of working. And your question about when you go to another continent, when you go to another club, when you go to another country, do you change your philosophy? Do you change your tactics? Do you change? Me personally, yes. Are there other coaches who wouldn't? Also, yes. Okay, not everyone is the same, but I cannot work the same in United or Kolkata as I would have done in an African country that I worked, or would have done in a European top club professional setup. It is not possible. It is not possible to do the same thing because, as my colleague here said also, the understanding is not the same. If I look, I don't believe in formations anymore. Okay, in all these years that I've worked, and I think there is no formations. There's running lines. You know where to run at what moment. You know where to defend, how to attack, where to run. What is the position? What is the run that you need to do when this player falls back? You understand? So it's more about running lines than it is about a certain formation. Because at the end, if I play against my colleague at a certain point, and I'm going to tell my players who are playing in a 4-4-2, but when we drop back, one striker needs to come back. It is not a 4-4-2, it's a 4-5-1. But a lot of the players in their mind, my coach has said, I need to play this ball, so I'm going to play this ball the whole time. It doesn't work like this. At the end, for me as a coach, I should not be talking that much tactical anymore. I should be talking, where do you need to run, at what moment, and where do you need to be at what point in time. And that makes a difference because, like I said before, I said it a couple of minutes ago, for me, there is no team tactics anymore. There is no formation. There is running lines. Where do I need to be? Where do I find the space? At what moment do I need to be there? and how can I make it as much as difficult on the opposing team? That makes it different. That means that the players need to understand, think, dare to talk, dare to change, and dare to talk to their coach and say, hey, coach, what you're telling is not right because it is not working. Okay? And then you understand. And that is what I feel with, before I League Second Division, we had foreigners, when we had foreigners in CFL. The foreigners, they talk. A lot of the Indian players, they don't talk. They agree what a coach is and they go, yes, yes. But it doesn't work like this on the pitch. So I try to learn my players. You need to talk. You need to take the game in hand. And if you feel, coach, we need to go and play higher, because this is the moment, we are all fit, we are still ready to go for another 10 minutes to press, then they need to dare to do this. They need to dare to do this, and it's not up to me only to go and say no, but I still have the upper hand in saying, now it is possible, now it is not possible. You understand? So the tactical part there is, it is very important, but they need to understand it. In every country, I will dare to work differently. In every setup, I will dare to work differently, because my setup in I-League Second Division right now is different than my last setup in CFL.
I think that covers mostly, what are the differences, between the approaches that are followed in different continents. And like, Steve and Sachin, you both pointed out that you obviously have to adapt to the country and the club and the players that you're currently working with. But yeah, I mean, we have seen that there have been improvements across, how things are being done in India. And that's why, with more structure and with more grassroots development, it can only become better, like, we are currently focused on. And on that topic, so before I could dive into the final stretch of question that I have, I would like to ask all our viewers who are still with us, and I mean, thank you all for joining us for this discussion today. I'm sure you guys are enjoying this discussion as much as I am. And because we are covering so many different nuances and tactical aspects, as well as what goes on behind the scenes in football clubs in India and across and outside India as well. And so if you like our discussions and you want more content like this, please do subscribe to our channel and do like and share this video with your friends and anyone who loves this game as much as we do. So having said that, all right, so we have one more question that, again, I think all of us are very desperate to want to know the answer to, and would love to get our esteemed guests' thoughts on that. Is that all? I'll start with Sachin. So what do you think, like, we have already talked about, how the role that nutrition plays in the development of players. We've talked about the role of formation and tactics and overall development plays, in preparing a club, preparing the players for the upcoming season. What do you think the role of management is, and how important that is? I mean, the club management overall, and the support that you receive from the club management and the overall structure that the club management provides in order to have, a successful group of players and overall achieve success in whatever you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, so it's really a great question. So it's not only on the coach and the players to get the success, but the management and the owners, they also have to get involved into this. So I think so it's very, very important for a coach and the management. There should be clear communication between the management, staff and the owners. That is what I feel it's very, very important. For a coach, it is also very, very important to understand the ideas of the management, staff and the owners also. It's not only the coach. He cannot just go and say this is what. No. It's very important for us to be more transparent and trying to share your ideas and getting the ideas of others also, which I feel is really very, very important. As a coach, I think so it's very, very important that the management should be, management or the owners should be providing the support to the coach with, it can be resources, it can be financial requirement of the players, it can be your facilities, it can be gyms or whatever, it can be training facilities, medical expense, whatever it is. So I think so it's very, very important getting the support from the management itself. There should be very much clear communication, communication from the team owners to the management, to the staff itself, to the coaches itself. It's very, very important. I think so all the rights should be to the coach regarding the decision making of the team, whatever it is. It might be player recruitment, it might be player sacking, whatever it is. So all the decisions should be taken by the head coach, what I feel. Where I think so, this helps the coach to show that he is the responsible person over there, and he's the, I cannot say boss, but he is a leader over there, and he has all the rights, which creates an impact on the players. And I think so that will be a good strategy to play the game what you want to play and get the performance from the players itself. Apart from that, I think so it's important for the management that the coach cannot work alone itself. So it's important for the management to provide the head coach with the staff what is requirement. It can be assistant coach of his requirement. It cannot be from the management side. But mostly it happens in India that all the staff comes in different. Where I've seen in India, like foreign staff, if the head coach is coming, he comes with his entire staff, so that he's having a trust and built on the staff itself, and he knows how they are working. But in India, it doesn't happen like that. Where I think so in India, coach needs to start all doing all these things where he's having his own staff. This is what I think. It will be a really great help if the owners and the management provide to the coach itself. Yeah.
Steve, I would love to get your thoughts on the same as well. That this is exactly what I was about to ask Sachin, is that what level of involvement do you feel is optimum from a management perspective? Till what point do you think that it actually helps the team grow? And at what point do you feel that the management should not be involved in certain football activities? But again, not everyone could be up for that. So, what are your thoughts on that, Steve?
Indeed, management does not get involved into your tactics. Indeed, management does not get involved into your way of training or your way of play, except when you go to a club where they have a certain philosophy and a certain way of play. Ajax, for an example. I can tell you already, my colleague here, if tomorrow you get an offer to go and work in Ajax and you want to play, I don't know, do you want to play in a 4-4-2 or you want to play in a 3-5-2? Guarantee you will not get the job at Ajax, because you need to play in a 4-3-3, you need to play out from the back, you need to play quick passing football. You need to. You don't do it, you will have to go. So that is also part of management. It's part of a philosophy. So for me, this is me personally, before I sign somewhere, before I go to a club, before I go to another country, I remember you telling me already before the meeting started here, before the podcast started, you told me, Mr. Nabab had very long talks with me before coming to the club. We talked about philosophy, we talked about youth development, we talked about the way of working, we talked about how do you want players am I a coach who plays with the long ball? I know, for an example, last year, Real Kashmir with Robertson, one of my players went to Kashmir after CFL. He signed at Kashmir. And with my team, he was centre back. With my team, he had to play from the forwards, from the back. And the first thing, Andrew Robertson told him, no playing out from the back, just long ball on the striker, which was his son. Long ball on the striker, only thing you need to do. You have the ball, kick the long ball forward, and we move forward. At the end, we had long talks. If I find a club that would tell me this is the way we play, this is how we want you to play, and before me signing, I will not do. Because I know this is not my way of playing. This is not what I want to do. So first, you need to have a little bit of a bond with management and a talk in knowing what do both parties want. And then once you are in the club, what happens at our club, for example, after every match, me and Mr. Nabab and my president of the club, we sit together on a coffee and I listen. I listen to him, what he says, what he thought about the game, what he would have changed, I do the same with CEO Mr. Ono. I listen to him and I listen like I have to do. And at the end, it is my responsibility. It is my way of playing. It is my tactic. It is my players that I put on. And if I win, good. If I don't win, we know how it goes as a coach. It's not coach. This is the fact. We all know you win, you're a great coach. It's everywhere in the world. You lose, you're not a great coach. But there is more than just the winning and the losing part at the end, because there are maybe reasons why you don't win. There's a reason that suddenly you lose 3, 4, 5 matches. But I always need to have the feeling that I can make my own decisions, that I can make a certain way of play. Because I will give, for example, our last match against Bengal, I know my running lines will be different than our next match against Chilomaro. But that will be my decision, and that will be not from management out. And whatever, when a management would come to me, and I've had this in the past in Belgium, so don't even think it's only an Indian thing. I've had this in Belgium where someone of management came to me and no, I don't want you to play like this. We were winning up and still saying, no, not like this. I want you to play this one. I want you to play this one. That's the moment that I say, no problem. You take my job. I leave. I go. And I go somewhere else where I can coach and work like I want. And at the end, it is my responsibility, like it is my colleague's responsibility also as a head coach, as head of football. He needs to get results. I need to get results. But at least I can see at the end, when I leave the club, if that is after 2 years, 10 years, 15 years, I can say I have made my decisions. I followed my philosophy and my way of thinking. And of course, I sit down together with management. I sit down together with my staff. I sit down with my captains to listen what is in the group, what is going. But it is my decisions and it is my way of working. And at the end, if that is not there, if that bond, that trust is not there with the management, my thinking is it is better to go.
Thank you, Captains of Armband, from all of us here at Armband. It is a very good night, good evening, good morning, based on where you're watching from. But thank you for joining us today. We'll bring you such content again very, very soon. And if you do like our content, please do like and share this video and do subscribe to our channel. Till next time, it's goodbye from here at Armband. We'll see you very, very soon. Bye, guys.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.